Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode corporate filings so you don't have to. Today we are diving into AUTOLIV's proxy statement, and honestly, it's a bit like reading a car manual, except instead of figuring out how to change the oil, we're figuring out how the company is run. Spoiler alert, there are fewer explosions, but just as many confusing acronyms. This report outlines everything stockholders need to know before the annual meeting, from who's up for election to the board to how much the top executives are getting paid. So let's buckle up and get started. First off, what is a proxy statement? Think of it as a cheat sheet for stockholders who can't make it to the annual meeting. It tells them who the company wants on the board and what they want stockholders to vote on. It also covers things like executive pay and the company's relationship with its auditors. So mark your calendars, the annual meeting is happening May 8th. Both in person in Detroit and virtually. Stockholders are going to vote on electing 11 directors, giving an advisory vote on executive compensation and ratifying the company's choice of Ernst & Young as their accounting firm. Let's talk about who's up for election. AUTOLIV has 11 nominees for its board of directors. It's worth noting that one director, Hasse Johansson, is retiring because he hit the company's mandatory retirement age. So the board is shrinking to 11 members after the election. Gustav Lundgren is up for election as part of a deal with Cevian Capital, one of AUTOLIV's major stockholders. If Cevian drops below 8% ownership, Lundgren has to offer his resignation. The board says that all nominees, except for Mikhail Bratt, the CEO, are independent, meaning they don't have any significant ties to the company other than their board membership. AUTOLIV emphasizes that sustainability is a big deal for them, with the board overseeing their sustainability efforts through the Nominating and Corporate Governance Committee. The company's sustainability program focuses on saving lives, reducing environmental impact, and upholding ethical standards. Now, skipping ahead a bit, we get to what everyone really wants to know. The executive compensation, also known as how much the bosses get paid. Here's a quick look at the total direct compensation for the top execs in 2024. CEO Mikhail Bratt's salary was $1,217,984,000 with a bonus of $1,147. The other executives' compensation packages are outlined in a similar way, with salary, bonus, and stock awards all listed. It's worth noting that in the past few years, AUTOLIV's say on pay vote, where stockholders get to give a non-binding thumbs up or thumbs down to executive pay, has received overwhelming support with over 97% approval. Now, what about the auditors, Ernst & Young? Here are the fees they raked in. In 2024, audit fees were $10 but saved $4 million. Audit-related fees with tiny dollar tax fees were $0.093 million. And all other fees were a tiny $0.0 and $1.3 million. In total, Ernst & Young got $11.0 million. It's interesting to note most of these funds go towards audit and audit-related fees. Now, some important stuff about voting. If you don't vote your shares or if you abstain, it can affect the outcome of certain proposals. Broker non-votes, which happen when brokers don't have instructions from the share owners, will also be taken into consideration. Here's an interesting detail. AUTOLIV has a cooperation agreement with Cevian Capital, which means Cevian gets a say in who's on the board as long as they hold a certain percentage of the company's stock. It is important to know who the shareholders are. Let's look a little deeper into how AUTOLIV compensates its executives. The company says its compensation philosophy is all about attracting and keeping top talent, aligning executive interests with stockholders, and rewarding performance. The short-term incentive plan for 2024 was based on adjusted operating income and adjusted cash conversion. Because they hit their targets, the executives earned 152% of their target payout. Not bad, not bad. For long-term incentives, executives get a mix of performance stock units and restricted stock units. The performance stock units are tied to the company's performance on metrics like earnings per share, relative organic sales growth, and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Finally, some executives can defer their compensation under a non-qualified deferred compensation plan, which allows them to save for retirement. Switching gears, let's take a peek at how AUTOLIV compensates its non-employed directors. These folks get an annual retainer plus extra pay for being the chairman or leading a committee. In 2024, the annual base retainer was $122,500 due $2,500 in cash and $152,500 in cash and $52,500 in cash, and $122,500 in cash and $152,500 in cash and $152,500 in cash, and $52,500 in fresh dollars, $500 in cash, and $152,505 in cash and $142,500 in cash, and $102,500 in cash and $152,500 in cash, and $152,500 in cash and $152,500 in cash, and $152,500 in cash and $52,500 in restricted stock units. AUTOLIV has guidelines in place to make sure the company is run ethically and responsibly. For example, they have an insider trading policy to prevent people from using confidential information to make a profit. There are also protocols around political contributions and related person transactions to ensure all activity is done ethically and does not cause conflicts. This filing also includes background information on the company's executive officers, like their age, roles, and experience. This gives stockholders a clearer picture of who's running the show. So what's my take on AUTOLIV? It looks like a company that's trying to balance rewarding its executives with making sure they're aligned with stockholders' interests. The emphasis on performance-based incentives and sustainability metrics is encouraging. Still, the complexities of executive pay can be difficult to interpret, and it's up to each stockholder to decide if they think the company is doing a good job. It is worth keeping an eye on how executives adjust to the retirement of board members and ongoing plans. Ultimately, the proxy statement provides a lot of information, but it is up to you, the stockholder, to use that information to make an informed decision. If you found this video helpful in understanding AUTOLIV's proxy statement, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. What other corporate filings would you like to see decoded? Thanks for watching.